So here in the Midwest, surprisingly, it's been starting to warm up very early in the season. So earlier today, it was actually 72 degrees, and now it's going towards a low of 20. However, it's still a great opportunity to get outdoors and tackle some projects that have been lingering all throughout the winter. So many of my friends and neighbors have been asking me about what the best camera is to install at their home if they want to keep an eye on their property while they're either out of town or even at work. So today we're going to take a look at a camera that includes all the features that I think you might want for home protection. This includes 360-degree pan and tilt, onboard AI, dual lenses, and is solar and battery powered. So stay tuned as we explore the new Eufy S340 Solo Cam. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from The Smart House. On this channel, we examine the latest in smart home tech and share exciting new smart home projects. Now, we frequently discuss the Eufy line of security cameras. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, these popular cameras are actually a sub-brand of Anker, the well-known cable and charger company. Now, I feel these cameras generally offer a great amount of onboard technology and, best of all, no reoccurring monthly fees. Plus, all of the video storage happens onboard the cameras, so everything stays local. But today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the new S340 Solo Cam to determine if it's a good fit for your home. And I just want to give a big thank you to Eufy for sponsoring today's video and for providing this camera for me to review. But I assure you, regardless of the sponsorship, I always deliver my honest opinions on a product. And this is particularly true when it comes to Eufy. Now let's head back inside before I blow away and delve into all the features of this camera. Alright, so let's start off by cracking open the box and seeing what comes inside. When you first unbox the camera, the first thing you're going to notice is the dual lenses on the front. What sets this camera apart from other outdoor cameras on the market is its unique ability to not only pan 360 degrees, but also the dual lenses. Each lens and sensor has a specific function. In addition to all these functions we'll talk about in a minute, you can actually record with both of them simultaneously. This allows you to capture a wide field of view to catch the entire scene, as well as a more focused shot for detailed viewing. Now, the wide-angle lens offers a field of view of about 165 degrees and has a 3K resolution sensor. On the other hand, the telephoto lens has a fixed 3x zoom and also has a 2x resolution sensor. This combination is quite practical because it allows detailed capture of a wide scale and maintains 2K resolution when you zoom in. Additionally, the camera boasts an 8x hybrid zoom feature, allowing you to zoom in up to 8 times using a combination of the wide and telephoto lenses and digital zoom. And of course, none of these features would really matter unless there was an efficient way to store your video. And that's why the camera actually includes 8 gigabytes of fast onboard storage. Now, one thing to note, this storage is non-removable and can't be upgraded. But if you do have a HomeBase 3, you can connect the camera directly to its Wi-Fi connection. When you do this, it not only enables you to store the video on your larger HomeBase, but also provides access to more AI features. The camera comes with onboard person detection and vehicle detection. So this happens whether you use it in standalone mode or with the HomeBase. But if you do connect it to a HomeBase, it also offers pet detection and facial recognition. The latter feature means you'll get personalized alerts based on who is detected, and their name will appear next to the event in the app. The camera communicates with either your home network or HomeBase via 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi. Now, unfortunately, they don't offer any 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Hopefully in future products we'll start seeing that, but it's not as common these days, but it is nice to definitely have. Between the lenses, you'll notice a 100 lumen spotlight that can be activated for night vision recording or manually via the application. The camera also features an IR blaster for night vision and a light sensor. So the color night vision will utilize any available light in the scene, but if the available light is insufficient, then the spotlight will be automatically activated. Alternatively, for detailed black and white night vision, the infrared blaster on the front will be used instead. The advantage of the infrared night vision is the fact that you don't actually see the light of the camera turn on, so intruders wouldn't really notice you. Also on the front is a built-in microphone, which seems to work pretty well in this unit. They actually claim to be able to pick up sound from within about 20 feet of the camera. Now we're going to explore some of the built-in pan and tilt functions and the AI-assisted features later on in the app section. Most notably, the camera utilizes person detection to automatically track a subject as they move throughout the scene, which is pretty handy actually. Now up here on the main unit, you'll notice that there's a speaker on top. Now this works in conjunction with the microphone to provide two-way audio. The speaker also doubles as a 90 decibel siren to deter any unwanted visitors. Right above that is the status light, which indicates the charge status when you're using the wall charger. It can also signal that a person is detected and recording is in progress. You can turn that feature off in the settings if you want. Now, considering this is an outdoor rated camera, of course it needs to be IP65 rated for both dust and water resistance. This means it should withstand about any weather condition that you can throw at it. Now, its operating range is from -4 degrees Fahrenheit to +160 Fahrenheit. While this might seem problematic in colder climates, other Eufy cameras that I've used with a similar temperature range have proven quite resilient in these conditions, including surviving our -20 degree Fahrenheit plunge earlier this winter. However, bear in mind that your battery performance will suffer in the colder temperatures. Now, on the top of the camera, you'll notice two threaded inserts. This can be used to mount the solar panel right on top of the camera itself. Now, on the back is their new snap-on location for the camera mount, which I think is a huge improvement over other cameras I've worked with in the past. This makes taking the camera down for charging super easy. Also included in the box is a 2.2 watt solar panel. So with this solar panel, Eufy claims that with only 2 hours of full sun, you can keep a fully charged camera topped off without having to take it down for charging. If you decide not to rely on the solar panel, then you should get around 3 months of battery life before you need to charge the camera. Charging the camera is super easy. Once you get the camera down, just open up the back flap and connect it with the included USB-C power cord. You'll of course need to plug it into an USB-A power supply. Now, the neat thing about the solar panel is you can either have it mounted right to the top of the camera for a quick and easy install, or detach it and use it with the included hardware to mount it to an eave or roof line. Included in the box is a 10-foot USB extension cable with waterproof glands. So you can install the camera in a convenient location and still be able to keep it charged. Now, while the solar panel actually comes with its own mount, if you need to make your own custom mount, the panel does have a 1/4-20 thread on the back of it, which is the standard tripod or mount style. So if you want to make yourself something custom or buy something that fits your environment a little bit better, that's an easy option. There's also 2 hardware bags, one to mount the camera and one to mount the solar panel. You also get a quick start guide and a Eufy security sticker to let everybody know that your house is being monitored. So now that we know what comes with the camera, let's look at what it takes to get it installed. Now, the first and most critical factor to consider when installing the camera is its location. I'd suggest mounting this camera to an outside corner of your house, like the edge of your roof. This is because an outside corner allows for 360-degree rotation to cover a wider area, so that you might actually be able to replace 2 cameras with only 1. Next, consider the height. Ideally, the camera should be about 8 feet to 10 feet above ground level. This 1 keeps it out of the reach of most people, and 2 provides the correct angle for facial recognition. Now, the final consideration is sunlight. If you plan to leave the camera up permanently, ensure that it has full access to the sun. So whether you have direct sunlight right where the camera is installed, or you want to use the 10-foot cable to move the solar panel into the sun, Eufy recommends at least 2 full hours of sun on average to keep everything charged up. Now, this can vary depending on your climate, so monitor the energy dashboard in the Eufy app to ensure you're getting enough sun at your location. So let's go ahead and jump into the Eufy app and explore some more functions. Alright, so I've got the Eufy app opened up here on my recording iPhone, and let's quickly take a look at some of the features that you can control in the Eufy app. So the main tile that we see here on the front gives us a quick snapshot of the last motion detection. So from here we can see a quick status of the battery, the signal, and whether or not the sun is shining. So if you have the solar panel installed, it'll tell you whether or not it's detecting sun right now. Then in the bottom right, we can see the number of events. This will hit 99 when it's completely full, but this is typically how many events that you've had occur since the last time you've been in the app. We can click the play button to see a live view of the camera feed, or press the 3 dots to bring up a quick menu. In the 3 dots, we have 2 functions. One is snooze, that'll disable any notifications for a period of time, and this is selectable from 30 minutes to 12 hours, or we can hit the settings cog to go into more settings. So we'll go ahead and open up the live view. We can see what functions that we have in the app. But in the app, we have the name of the camera at the top left-hand corner and then the data rate. To the right of that, we have the siren icon, which will deploy the 90 decibel siren. We have the settings cog, which will take us back into our settings for the camera. And in the middle, we have the view of the camera. So you can either have this selected to have one, either the wide or the tall, or in my case, I have both selected. So the top is actually the wide angle camera and the bottom is the zoomed in telephoto lens. We have the option of selecting the rate that we want to actually see the camera feed, which can be set to auto, which will change based on your data rate, or you can force it into a specific resolution like 3K, 1080p, or 720p. The bottom right will go into full screen mode, which causes your phone to rotate. And then along the bottom, we have our quick options. So we can either start a recording, which will take a video clip and store it directly to our phone. We have sound, where we can enable or disable listening to the microphone. We have the talk button, where we can have a conversation with somebody on the other end. We have our pan and tilt options, which will bring up our pan and tilt controls, allowing you to move the camera up or down, left or right. Then we have the light option, which will turn on and off the included spotlight. And then if we make a little swipe, it'll actually bring up a few more options. This includes taking a photo screenshot, changing the night vision mode between auto, color, black and white, or off, enabling or disabling AI tracking, which is that great feature that will actually follow a person detected around the frame until the camera either loses them or they go out of range. This is super helpful and actually seems to work pretty well. We've got presets, which will bring up the 4 presets that we'll look at how to set here in a minute. This is great for setting out where you want the camera to specifically start off its path and to quickly move around or zoom in or zoom out. And then finally, we have a round look, which will actually spin the camera 360, allowing you to see everything in the field of view. So if we want to hop into the settings, we can click the settings wheel, and that takes us into the camera settings. So at the top here, we have the option of turning the camera on or off. This is helpful if you take the camera down. It turns off the AI tracking so it's not moving around in your hand. We have those same options to see whether or not it's got the sun on the solar panel, what the battery status and the Wi-Fi is. And then we have a few options down here at the bottom that might vary depending on if you're using this in standalone mode or with your HomeBase. I've got mine tied into the HomeBase. So right here, there would be an option to add it to the HomeBase if I didn't have it already, but this just tells me that the camera is added to my HomeBase. Below that, we have our motion or event detection. This allows us to turn this on or off. We can set zones that will only detect within a certain area. This is helpful if you have a sidewalk walking by and you don't want to creep out your neighbors. You can set your detection sensitivity and then the type of detections. And again, if you're using this on its own, you will only have people and vehicle detection. But because I've got the HomeBase, I have the access to those additional features. You can also enable or disable that AI tracking right here and put it in motion test mode. This will allow you to use the LED on the front of the camera to know whether or not it's detecting motion. This is helpful if you want to set a specific location in your yard where you want it to stop detecting you. You can just look at the camera and see if it's detecting you based on the LED. We also have tips for installation, which we'll see in a different section. Now, Power Manager, this is where you can go in and kind of get an idea of how well your camera is charging and whether or not you might have an issue here in the near future where you need to take it down and charge it. It'll tell you how many days the camera's been up, how many events it's detected, and also how many events it's recorded. You can change the working mode here between optimal battery life, surveillance, or a custom version of each. This allows you to fine-tune if you want the camera to use minimal battery or react to every motion event. Then we have access to the solar dashboard that I talked about earlier. This will bring up and tell you the percentage of your battery based on the day, so you can see that trend over either 7 days or an entire month. You can also see your solar charging data, which I've got mine unplugged right now, so it's blank. Then the bottom graph will tell you how efficient it is versus having to actually charge it off of a wall. But the most useful part is the top graph, which will tell you if you're actually getting enough sunlight to keep your battery topped off, or if you might have to recharge in a few days or weeks. And then below that, we can select whether or not we're using just the battery or the external solar panel. Again, I've got mine unplugged right now, so it's set to battery. It should automatically flip over, but if for some reason you weren't getting good performance, you could disable the solar panel right here in the app. So I talked about the preset positions, but this is the function where you can go ahead and get those configured and set up. And again, you have up to 4 different positions you can set, and you can set whether you're using the wide lens or the telephoto lens. In the pan tilt settings, we've got the AI tracking again, and also we can fine tune how fast the motors move the camera when you're using the little joystick in the app. And then finally, we have our spotlight settings. This is where we could tell if the light's going to be turned on or off and how bright it is. And again, the brighter the spotlight, the more battery it's going to drain. And then below that, we have just our standard settings we see in all Eufy cameras. We've got our video settings where we can turn on or off the timestamp or logo watermarks. We can change that view mode I talked about earlier, whether you only want to see the single selected camera or both cameras simultaneously. You can set your streaming quality like we could at the top of the app. And we can also set our recording quality. So again, if you were concerned about running out of space, if you're using this in solo mode, then you might want to set this at 1080p. But I've got mine set at the full 3K. Again, we have the option to change the night vision mode, and then we can set privacy zones. But one thing to note, that if you do have privacy zones, it doesn't follow around, it actually locks the camera into place. So unless you really specifically need this, I would suggest not using that. Then we have our audio settings where we can enable or disable the microphone, enable or disable audio recording, and change our speaker volume. Then under notifications, this is where we can kind of fine tune what type of notifications that we'll get. So the default option is the most efficient, where you'll get notifications as soon as the camera detects something, but it'll just be the notification. The second option is full effect. This is where you'll actually get two notifications. The first one being the initial event notification, and the second one will follow up with an image. And then the bottom one is include thumbnail, where it will actually wait to send you one notification with an image of whatever set off the motion detection. And then below that, you can set the app notification sound effect. Under general, we have our standard settings, like changing the name of the camera, whether or not you want that status LED on or off. You can set your Wi-Fi connectivity if you are not using the HomeBase. You can monitor your storage and get back into your mounting guide. And then below that, we have the option to share with another user and delete our device from the account. So there we go. Now that we've seen all the functions and features in the app, let's take a look overall if this camera might be a good fit for you. All right, so before we wrap up here, let's talk about what everybody's really concerned about, the price point of this device. Now this camera clocks in at $199 US, and that's the typical price that you'll see day to day. But if you're looking for a good deal, either check out the description below or the pinned comment. Anytime Eufy runs a sale and they let me know about it, I'll usually post it on there. So this $199 price point might seem a little high, but you are getting a ton in a camera. Typically, your battery-powered cameras are gonna be around or above $100, but there's not a lot of competition on the market. I believe Reolink has a similar camera that's battery-powered and 360-degree pan tilt, but most other cameras on the market are just fixed, especially solar-powered ones. So this camera is very unique in the marketplace. Plus the fact with the dual lenses gives you a ton of flexibility. So let's talk about who I think this camera's for. So I really think this is mainly gonna be for folks that wanna take and put one camera in to cover a large area, where in an instance you might actually need multiple cameras to cover an entire area. This camera will do great, especially if you're trying to cover an area where there'll be a lot of motion. So this will be best for a corner of a house or mounted to a pole somewhere so you can spin around. Where this is not gonna be good is in a corner, like in a back corner of where you'll only get a limited field of view or looking down between houses. It'll be kind of wasted there. So only get this camera if you're gonna be covering a wide area where you can truly use that pan tilt functionality. This is also good for a location where you might have something come off in the distance that you want to keep an eye on. This is that ability to not only have the functions that you wouldn't normally get off of a regular fixed zoom camera. And again, if you're a person who might not want to pick this camera up, if you're going to put it somewhere where you're not going to be able to get to it easy to charge, or you are under heavy tree cover. So if you can't get good sun to this location, then this probably isn't a good choice for you. But overall, I think if you're looking for a strong camera with a ton of functions, this would be a good start into the Eufy ecosystem. Of course, if you already have a HomeBase 3, then it's a super easy decision to grab this camera if it fits your use case. I'm definitely gonna be leaving mine up on the front of my house to replace my Eufy Cam 3. Because of where it is, the motion tracking capability is super important because I can keep an eye on my kids as they come home off the bus. And if anybody passes through my yard, the camera will actually move to them and keep an eye on them as they walk across the yard, which we have a lot of kids that like to cut through my yard. But just remember, the more times that the camera wakes up to record or that it has to move around, the more battery it's gonna drain. So just keep that in mind if you happen to be installing it someplace with a lot of movement. If you do find this camera interesting, want to take a look at more details, I've got all the links down in the description. And of course, if you pick up one of the cameras using my links, it goes to help the channel, plus lets Eufy know that you got great information from this video. And again, I want to thank Eufy for being a longtime supporter of the channel and for sending the camera out for me to take a look at. I'm excited about the new line of Eufy products coming out this year, and I've got quite a few more of these videos coming along very soon. So real quick before you take off, if you found any use in this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Now I have an entire dedicated playlist right over here for all of my other Eufy camera reviews. And if you're shopping around for a new camera, check out my entire playlist of camera reviews right over here. Thank you again for making it this far, and I'll see you on the next video.